It was supposed to be a quiet Sunday morning. I had brewed my coffee, the air smelled of rain, and the neighborhood was still half asleep. But peace and I rarely lasted long together, especially since I moved into the Willow Creek Estates, where the HOA was ruled by one woman, Karen Hollister. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her name. The Queen of WA, the self-proclaimed guardian of lawn perfection and driveway purity. You could breathe too loud, and she'd send you a violation notice. And on that particular morning, her mission was parked in my driveway, my black 2018 Jeep Wrangler, with tinted windows, reinforced tires, and a subtle blue emblem that most people would miss if they didn't know what to look for, a police task force vehicle used for undercover operations. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone that, but as a retired cop who occasionally helped the local task force with vehicle maintenance and storage, I'd been asked to hold onto it temporarily. It looked civilian enough, but inside was specialized radio tech, GPS scramblers, and hidden compartments. Karen didn't know that, she just saw a Jeep she didn't approve of. I was sipping coffee on my porch when I saw her marching up the street, clipboard in one hand, her little dog, Princess, trotting beside her like an escort. Her face had that permanent squint, like she could see sin from 2 blocks away. "Morning, Ms. Hollister," I said politely. She didn't answer, just gave me the kind of nod people reserve for someone they're about to report. Then she stopped in front of my driveway, tilted her sunglasses down, and said, "That vehicle's been here for 3 days. Non-resident, unapproved, and certainly not WA compliant." I chuckled. "It's just visiting, ma'am. Temporary storage." "Storage," she scoffed. "Do you see a garage around it? Because in Willow Creek, vehicles are to be parked inside unless registered with the WA." I took another sip of coffee, calm as ever. "It'll be gone soon, promise." But she wasn't listening. She took a photo of the Jeep. Then another from a different angle. "If it's still here by tomorrow, I'll have it towed." That was her catchphrase. "I'll have it towed." She'd said it so many times, it might as well have been stitched on her bathrobe. I just smiled. "You do what you think is right, Ms. Hollister." The next morning, I woke to the sound of metal grinding. At first, I thought it was construction down the street, until I heard a voice shouting orders in a loud clang. I rushed outside, barefoot and half awake, and there she was, Karen, standing in my driveway, surrounded by 2 WA board members, a locksmith, and a tow truck driver. "What on earth?" I started, but she cut me off. "You were warned," she snapped. "You left an unauthorized vehicle in violation of WA policy. I'm well within my rights to enforce the rulebook." The locksmith was cutting through the Jeep's lock, a heavy-duty one meant for security, not some flimsy chain. Sparks flew as the metal screamed. "Ma'am, stop," I shouted. "You can't do that. That's not your property." "Oh, I can," she said with a smirk. "Read your bylaws, Mr. Moore. Page 12. Vehicles in violation may be removed without owner consent." "You don't understand." I tried again. "I understand perfectly. You think rules don't apply to you. But in Willow Creek, we maintain standards." Before I could step closer, the lock snapped, and the Jeep's security alarm roared like a wounded animal. It wasn't a normal alarm, it was a task force coded signal, one that automatically triggered a police alert to a secure frequency. Karen froze. The tow truck driver stepped back. The sound was deafening, echoing across the cul-de-sac. And then, 5 minutes later, the sirens came. 2 marked police cars skidded into the neighborhood, lights flashing. Behind them came an unmarked black SUV. The officers got out fast, tactical vests, serious faces, scanning everything. Karen straightened her floral blouse and marched up like she was the victim. "Officers, thank goodness you're here. This man," she pointed at me, "has been keeping a suspicious, unregistered vehicle." I was enforcing WA policy. The lead officer ignored her and turned to me. "Mr. Moore, are you okay? We got a triggered alarm from Task Force Vehicle 217. Karen blinked. "Task Force what?" I exhaled slowly. "Yeah, that's the one." The officer frowned at the half-cut lock on the ground, then at the tow truck driver, who was already trying to back away. "Who touched the vehicle?" Karen lifted her hand proudly. "I did. It was parked illegally." The officer's tone shifted immediately. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle." Her smile faltered. "Excuse me, that Jeep is property of the State Police Task Force," he said firmly. "It's part of an active investigation." Her face drained of color. "Active investigation?" "Yes, ma'am, and tampering with police property, especially cutting a government-issued lock, is a federal offense. The next hour was chaos. The police questioned everyone. Karen tried to talk her way out of it, claiming ignorance, waving her HOA manual like a badge of authority. But ignorance doesn't erase damage. The Jeep's interior was inspected to ensure nothing had been compromised. Thankfully, she hadn't managed to open it. But the cut lock, the tampered chain, and her verbal admission were more than enough. By the time the officers left, Karen was pale, trembling, and on the verge of tears. The HOA board members had quietly vanished. The tow truck sped off. I stood there silently, arms crossed, watching the storm she'd created crumble. Before leaving, the lead officer, a friend of mine named Detective Harris, clapped my shoulder. "We'll take it from here, Jack. You did good keeping your cool." I nodded. "Thanks, Harris." He smirked. "You've got quite the neighbor. Tell me about it." Then they drove off with the Jeep, now a crime scene. 2 days later, Karen came to my door. No clipboard, no sunglasses, just a small envelope in her shaking hands. She looked like someone who hadn't slept. I wanted to apologize," she said softly. "I didn't know it was police property. I was just trying to enforce the rules." I studied her face. This woman who'd made my life miserable for months, who'd fined kids for skateboards and yelled at families for hanging Christmas lights too early. "You know, Karen," I said, "sometimes rules aren't the problem. It's the people who forget why they exist." She swallowed. I was wrong. Inside the envelope was a handwritten note, a formal resignation from the HOA presidency. "I don't deserve to be in charge," she whispered. "I've been so focused on control that I forgot about community." For the first time, I saw something behind that hard exterior, guilt, maybe even humanity. A week passed. The neighborhood started to feel different. Freer, lighter. People began talking again, gathering at mailboxes, waving across lawns. Kids played outside without fear of being written up. And then one evening, I got a call from Detective Harris. "Jack," he said, "remember that Jeep?" "Yeah, we just wrapped the case. You won't believe this. Karen's interference actually helped us." I blinked. "How's that?" "When she triggered that alarm, it forced the suspects we were tracking to make a move early. We caught them last night. Entire rings behind bars now." I couldn't help but laugh. "So the HOA queen saved the day, huh?" "Not the way she planned," he said with a chuckle. "But yeah, her impatience blew their cover." A few days later, I saw Karen again, this time at the community park cleanup. No clipboard, no barking orders. She was helping kids plant flowers, smiling awkwardly but sincerely. She waved when she saw me. I waved back. "Didn't expect to see you here. Trying something new," she said. "Less bossing, more helping." And she meant it. Over the next few weeks, Karen became a completely different person. She started a neighborhood safety program, partnered with the police for community awareness, and even hosted a thank you barbecue for the task force. She invited me personally. When I showed up, she handed me a slice of pie and said, "Guess I owed the Jeep guy a peace offering." We laughed. For once, it wasn't awkward, just human. Months later, the story of HOA Karen versus the police Jeep became neighborhood legend. People told it to newcomers like folklore, a tale of pride, humility, and second chances. Sometimes they exaggerated, turned me into a secret agent or made Karen sound like a villain turned saint. But the truth was simpler. She was just a person who got lost in her need for control and found her way back through embarrassment and grace. In me, I learned something too, that anger doesn't fix arrogance, but patience can transform it. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the cul-de-sac bathed in gold, Karen stopped by again. She looked different now, calmer, lighter. "I wanted to thank you," she said. "Not just for not pressing charges, but for not humiliating me when I deserved it." I smiled. "You did a fine job of that yourself." She laughed, and for the first time, it was genuine. Then she handed me a small keychain, a miniature Jeep with the words, "Community First," engraved on it. For the man who reminded me what that really means. As she walked away, I looked around, kids laughing, neighbors chatting, dogs running free. Willow Creek finally felt like a neighborhood again. And in that soft evening light, I realized something. Even the harshest hearts can change when met with grace instead of hate. Because sometimes, it doesn't take a badge, or authority, or even revenge, just a bit of humanity. And a Jeep with the right kind of alarm.